of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Counselor Hamilton,
Here.
Counselor Woods.
Here.
Counselor Daigle,
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker.
Here.
Mayor Sumner.
Here. Introduction of media. Anyone wishing to speak before the city council tonight on any subject matter will need to fill out a speaker form and turn it into the recorder. Forms are available on the sign-in table in the back of the room. Please turn cell phones off or silence them during the meeting. And introduction to media, is there any media here?
No.
Announcement for Zoom. If you're joining tonight's meeting via Zoom, you will automatically be muted upon entry, and you'll need to identify yourself if your full name is already attached to the device being used. You will be unable to unmute yourself if you wish to speak. Use the raise your hand feature. To use it, click on the reactions icon at the bottom of your screen and click on the image of a hand. Public comment and agenda items only. The purpose of the public comment period is to allow citizens to represent information or raise issues regarding agenda items only. There will be a time at the end of the meeting for citizens to speak about off-agenda items. A time limit of 3 minutes per citizen shall apply. All citizens must come up to the microphone. On agenda item, we can start with Linda Zumwalt.
That's you.
I pass. You pass?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it Dell? I can't read this, Bird. I can't read this.
Does anybody in the audience have horrible handwriting?
Word choice? Word choice? Does that sound familiar?
It's on, with Brooke, what? Water. 426 is the address.
470 Backwater Loop.
Yes, that's it.
Dan Chief.
Banducci. Okay, John Banducci.
I know, but the Banducci's, I don't.
Yes, come on in. Sorry about that.
I got to figure it was me.
I get jumped out of that. I got an A and an L. Sorry.
John Banducci, 426 Backwater Loop. I'm here in regards to something to put off for a while until you have more information. But I thought it was good for me to say something to the group while I'm here. And that's on the downside of a roundabout. I did a lot of research. There's good things, there's bad things about both. One thing is include increased risk for pedestrians crossing over busy intersections due to shared space between cars and pedestrians. Less maneuverability for large vehicles such as trucks, and we have a lot of trucks on that road. Trucks, shavings trucks, you name it, concrete trucks, and buses. Increased wait time due to cars not being able to manage themselves to go around there. I've seen some clear, in Portland, you have the roundabout, and I actually seen where they run over the curb to get around. And due to traffic and difficulty determining the right of way, who's got the right of way? Somebody is in there first and you gotta let them go around. With multiple vehicles entering the same lane at a particular time, I really am for a signal that stop and go for pedestrians and cars and trucks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jim Smalley.
Good evening. Later today, I guess we're going to be talking about a finishing plan a little bit, and I wanted to bring some information to the workshop. Hopefully, if this is something you guys decide whether you're gonna have or not.
Mhm. Should be.
In the near future, something I hope we can all set up, it's gonna be very educational. Thank you. Kittleson plan, it talks a lot more about than just a roundabout versus stoplight. It's very educational. It's more far reaching than that. It addresses the property owners, the business owners, traffic studies, safety. I think it'd be extremely educational in the future, for the council to, go through that workshop. That's all I need.
Steve Simmons,
I'm Steve Simmons, 591 Wildcat Canyon Road, Sutherland. I live in the subdivision that basically it's Wildcat Canyon and Fairway Estates are essentially an extension of Dakota Street on the north end. Goes right into our subdivision. So Dakota Street is our main egress to 138, which will take us either to downtown Sutherland or onto I-5 to go north and south. And over the last year or two, you can see the increase in traffic. We're growing, I think, more on the west side of the freeway than anywhere else in Sutherland. We've got homes going in, we've got apartments going in, we've got businesses going in, we've got a new charging site for electric cars. We've got a clinic now, and we all use the Dakota Street 138. And even now, where the apartments are built, I kind of speculate we may see people in phase one of that in the next year and a half. You can get to that intersection and it's a fight to see who can get out. People are posturing to see one direction or the other. Pretty soon, cars are going like this, trying to see who can turn right, who can turn left. And when that happens, a big rig or even a truck with a trailer, if it tries to turn in on Dakota Street, there's no room for them to make the turn because now you've got cars out on the side. And so with that happening right now, I think in the next year or two, we're going to see a big increase. And then 5 years from now, we're going to see a spike when all the homes above the golf course start being occupied. And when the apartments that are being built out on Dakota Street get occupied. And it's really going to be a mess without some kind of immediate control. I put a dash cam in my car. I've seen a couple close ones already. And you know, there's just no use having a bunch of accidents or maybe a fatality because we don't have control of it. I've driven a lot of roundabouts in my time, mostly in Europe and sometimes backwards in Scotland and England. You know, if everybody's into the game and everybody's used to driving them, they work good. And if not, they're a mess. And you know, there's a lot of old folks in our subdivision, 55 and older, we're 65. And we don't have the reaction time we used to see well at night. Traffic light is just where we'd like to be. I personally don't have any problem with the traffic going through there. The big rigs actually are very predictably on speed limit. But people driving cars nowadays, traffic time don't mean anything. That's 45 miles an hour and 30 or 50 and 30. Anyway, we need some protection there. And I think we need it sooner than later. What I'm hearing is roundabout is late and lights could come early. So I would like to see traffic.
thank you. Anyone else on the agenda? On to presentation, Sutherland Sanitary.
Good evening, everybody. Grant Fahey with Sutherland Sanitary Service. I'm going to be asking for a rate increase. I wrote the whole page for you all. I'm going to break it down into 3 really easy points. Number 1, cost of equipment is kind of getting a little bit out of control. Since 2020 was when we bought our last new automated truck that was just shy of $300,000. Just pulled the trigger on a new one a couple weeks ago. That was almost $400,000. Um, And that's how it is across the board, whether it's vehicles, trucks, containers. Everything is at least 20% more than it was at the time of the last day. Second point, we are a part of an organization called Oregon Refuse and Recyclers Association. Basically, every garbage hauler in the state is a part of this organization. Every 3 years, they do a survey where they collect all of the pay and benefits data from all of the different garbage haulers across the state, from waste management to us, to Roseburg, everybody. Back in 2020, we were right about in the middle of where we should have been. This last year, September of 23, they brought out a new one, and we're about 10%, 9 or 10% behind. We really make a strong point in paying our employees well. But we need to increase that a little bit, just to keep them in the meat, right in the middle of where. Third thing, Oregon Family Leave Act that went into effect last year. That's going to at least one more person per area, one more driver, one more customer service rep, one more admin, which would increase costs to us by about $1,000 a year. All those three things said, we're looking for about an 8%. That rate sheet should be attached. Any question?
The number 3 item that you talked about, is the EVAC. What is it?
Family Leave Act.
Family Leave Act. Oregon Family Leave Act.
Okay,
Basically, what that means is if you have a family emergency where a complication with childbirth or something along those lines, an employee can take up to 12 weeks off almost without question. Pretty easy for them to apply for this. There's nothing as an employer to do about it. That means if it uses the system, which they should, it's there. But it means we're going to be short people.
Well, I'm not quite sure why you have to hire all these extra people for the Family Leave Act. It's not much different than disability or OFLA, FEMLA.
It goes in addition to those. So if
I
you have,
understand, but that's part of
right,
time off that people get, and so you're having to hire 4 other people to
So,
cover this?
3 people.
3 people to
so
cover
if
that?
I-
don't
if
know
I
how you
had-
did that. I
if
mean,
I
we
had-
haven't had to do that in our businesses.
Right, so if I have 3 customer service reps. If all 3 of them were to take advantage of this at the same time, which it's state operated, but I have nobody to answer.
But you're doing a what if they all did that.
Right.
So you're hiring 3 people in case someone happens to take leave.
Right.
That seems odd that you would do that. It's like an insurance policy.
So it's by our franchise with the city, we have to abide by all the regulations that we have in front of us. I believe this is part of it.
Is there a backup plan if the rate increase is not approved? Is there a secondary plan or an alternate way to accommodate meeting these guidelines in terms of maybe cross training or something like that?
The Family Leave Act, yes, a little bit, but not too great. You might be able to make 5 with 2 people. I don't think that would be.
So it appears on your website that you're also covering Oakland, Drain, Reedsport, Glendale area, some other county areas. Are you asking every single area to cover 8%?
Correct.
And a couple other things. I'm thinking that for us to ask our citizens for that high of an increase, I would like something in return. A couple options, thoughts. I have seen in many cities across the country such things as a free dump day for the citizens of Sutherland. 1 free dump day a year. Is that something that you could possibly offer?
Yeah, that can definitely be discussed.
And another thing is maybe scheduling 1 large item pickup day, maybe twice a year
Yeah,
at our house.
You know, it's the franchise that we have with the city is can be evolving, so if you guys would like to make notes in there about that.
So is that something we could discuss with this increase?
Yeah.
Now?
Sure. I'm open to suggestions. I haven't looked at what the impact of that would be, but sure.
When was the last?
I believe it was about
2
15 months ago.
2 years.
And how much was that one?
I'm not so very persuaded.
What is the actual amount?
Or, it should be in your
It's
packet.
in your packet, right?
It's
Yeah.
only for a 35-gallon cart.
About 350 or so for a guy.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
On to the consent agenda.
No, that was a presentation.
Just a presentation.
We're not
Oh,
there
he's
yet.
not worth it anyway.
It's further on the agenda to vote.
Got it. My bad.
Under the consent agenda for December 11th, 2023 meeting minutes, do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes from December 11th.
I have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda. Any discussion? Then vote.
Counselor Grousman.
I think
we lose him. He's right here. Counselor Grousman.
Right now, I.
Counselor Hamilton.
Aye.
Counselor Woods.
Aye.
Counselor Daigle.
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker.
Aye.
Counselor Smalley.
Aye.
Mayor Sumner.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And I'm sorry, Counselor Smalley, did you have a question?
Nope, I was just trying to place my vote.
Okay. Great. On to council business, ordinance number 1094, amending SMC chapter 8.26, regulating outdoor burning, second reading and adoption. Melanie, can you read ordinance by title only?
An ordinance of the city of Sutherland amending chapter 8.26 of the Sutherland Municipal Code regulating outdoor burning.
All right, staff report, Deputy Chief, Fire Chief Scott Knight.
Mayor, council, this is just, language cleanup and basically the following the DSTA guidelines. And how we currently operate. We're still gonna allow burning. We would just shut it down during fires.
Okay, do I have a motion? Make the motion to approve. One second. One second. Motion and a second to approve ordinance number 1094, amending SMC chapter 8.26, regulating outdoor burning, second reading and adoption as presented. Any discussion? Vote.
Counselor Grousman.
I.
Counselor Hamilton.
Aye.
Counselor Woods.
Aye.
Counselor Daigle.
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker.
Aye.
Counselor Smalley.
Aye.
Mayor Sumner.
Aye.
Motion carries.
On to ordinance number 1095, plan amendment and zone change, Turf Grove properties, second reading and adoption. City Recorder Melanie to read ordinance by title only.
An ordinance amending the city of Sutherland comprehensive plan map and zoning map to amend the comprehensive plan map from low density hillside to medium density. Lost my place, concurrent with a zoning map change from RH Residential Hillside to R2 Medium Density Residential. Property described as tax lots 201, 300, and 400 in section 19C of Township 25 South Range 05 West WM. The subject 3.81 acre property located at 842, 880, and 940 Fir Grove Lane and described herein.
Staff report, city planner, Kate.
Mayor, City Council, Jamie Cuny, Planner. I just want to stipulate the staff report to the record unless you guys have any additional.
Motion.
Move to approve ordinance number 95.
Motion and a second, approve ordinance 1095, plan amendment and zone change for Grove properties, second reading and adoption. As presented, any discussion? Vote.
Counselor Grossman,
Aye.
Counselor Hamilton,
Aye.
Counselor Woods.
Aye.
Counselor Daigle,
Yes.
Counselor Whitaker.
Aye.
Counselor Smalley,
Aye.
Mayor Sumner,
Aye.
motion carries.
On to commission, committee, board appointments and reappointments. Staff report. Melanie, you're up.
Hold on. I was not prepared.
Would you like me to call them up?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Dish Doyle. Are you here? Nancy Anderson. I'm here. Would you like to come up and introduce yourself and say a few words? These are applicants for the Library Advisory Board.
Hi, I'm Nancy Anderson. I'm at 635 Sherwood Street, Sutherland, Mark. And I just want to say how proud I am of Sutherland and our library. I was talking to a gal at the County Library at their 5-year celebration. And she said she lived in Glide and she volunteered for years at the Roseburg Library. And because she lives in Glide, she has to pay the fees to be a part of the library. She said, I'm just having a really hard time getting over that. And I said, well, you know, I don't know if it's any closer, but the Sutherland, you can come and get a library card for free. And you can get all the books and all the things that Roseburg offers. And we were able, because of the community, the Rotary Club gave us $1,000 at the beginning of the summer. We were able to buy books for every single child in Sutherland East and Sutherland West. And we had Smokey Bear and the wildlife safari people there. And we got front page coverage in the newspaper. And there's just a lot of fun things that go on at the library. And we'd love to encourage anybody who'd like to come volunteer, likes to meet kids, likes to meet people. It's just one of, I think, our outstanding things that someone offers our kids. And I'm just really pleased to be part of the Library Foundation. Thank you. Excuse me.
How long have you been there?
Actually, I've been there for 5 years since there were 3 of us, Rick Troxel and another little gal and I that met to try to, because we were really concerned about the library closing, and we never did. And we were the only library in the county that didn't close.
You've been there longer than that year.
You've been there 12 years.
You've been there longer than 5 years.
No, I mean, he said, how long have I been there?
Yeah. You've been there longer than that. I was with you. And I've been retired for 5 years.
I've been volunteering for a lot, and I really enjoy it. I remember retiring and thinking, gosh, I used to have friends. What happened? They were all at work. I think I'll go try the library. Maybe there'd be something to do there. And let me tell you, the library really nice. Well, thank you. And Pat is a wonderful director. Really appreciate
Do you want to start with that or do you want me to call up the car?
So yeah, we have 4 vacancies on the Library Advisory Board. The city's received 2 applications for reappointment from Kish Doyle and Nancy Anderson, both with terms ending December 31st, 2028. And then there are 3 vacancies on the Parks Advisory Committee. And we have received 2 applications for reappointment from Tabitha Lehman and Craig Hubler. Those terms will end December 31st, 2025.
Is Tabitha Lehman here? And is Craig Kugler here? Do I have a motion to appoint and reappoint? And it
all
looks like
one
we can
motion.
do all one.
Make a motion that we appoint Bruce Doyle and Anderson to the library advisory board. Thank you for.
Great. All right, we have a motion and a second to appoint Tish Doyle and Nancy Anderson to the Library Advisory Board, terms ending December 31st, 2027. So it says 2020.
28.
Okay, this is correct. And appoint Tabitha Lehman and Craig Kugler to the Parks Advisory Board, term ending December 31st, 2025. Any discussion? Okay, vote.
Counselor Grossman,
I guess.
Counselor Hamilton,
Aye.
Counselor Woods.
Aye.
Counselor Daigle.
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker.
Aye.
Counselor Smalley.
Aye.
Mayor Sumner,
Hi.
motion carries.
Yes, we still have vacancies, so anyone in the audience who would like to volunteer in our great city, please contact Melanie for an application. We know you have lots of activities. On to resolution 2024-1, Sutherland sanitary rate. Staff report. City manager.
I'm sorry, Tammy was going to do this and went home early. So, when we met with, Pat and Grant, they explained the 8% and the need. I didn't hear about the FMLA argument, and which is completely pointless personally. But, the others sound pretty viable. But, I thought one of you asked a critical question, how much does that mean on an individual basis? About $3 per person. And so that's what you have before you. We didn't feel it was our role to tell you to approve or not approve this, so we didn't provide a staff recommendation. So you could make a motion contingent on their willingness to invoke some of your ideas or vote it down or approve it in whole. So I'll leave that open to you.
Do I have a motion?
Well, I make a motion, we.
I would make. Doing what the mayor suggested. Pick up for like the large items or the items of what is that, computer items or something like that, if possible, without causing.
I think we had a motion in a second on the table first, that we have to either approve or deny first and then go.
Or accept a friendly amendment.
Okay, so we have the motion in a second, so we need to vote on that.
I'll
And,
withdraw myself.
okay, so do we have a second? And Gary's.
Okay, so that motion dies.
Sorry. Okay. All right, so do we have a second motion?
I will make the first, but would I make a first motion?
Yes.
So I think a first motion to make a rate increase with contingency of doing large item pickup once a year or twice a year, and doing that for large items and for electronic and a free down pay.
Is that on a specified day? Brenda, for that?
Well, I think, my thoughts would either be a specified day, unless that would be too overwhelming for the transfer station. And then we could maybe even do like a voucher for each household, so they could pick a day.
Voucher would probably be that.
Whatever's
That's not
probably less
overwhelming.
laborious.
So they didn't overwhelm the transfer station one day. So a voucher for each household, and they could pick the day.
Madam Mayor, do you have a motion? and a second?
The motion, is it? I'll second.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that you just give myself and our staff the charge at making those arrangements, get it included in the agreement, and we can move forward with it that way. That way, you know, with confidence, we're gonna make sure that Grant does it. We really like Sutherland Sanitary. As you can see, I give them a hard time, but they're good to work with.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? One second.
Grant, what does that do to the manufactured home park?
Well, do you wanna have one free voucher per address or one free voucher per customer? Parks, customer. 102 addresses.
So
It would probably be for act.
But that giving each person 200 homes like Meadows, for example. So each person would get a voucher?
Well, that's for the freedom day.
That's confusing for the parks.
Well, I think that's something you guys can work out.
No, we can.
Well, I was just thinking, he's talking about $2 a can pickup per month. And
That's for one size, so.
Well, yeah, for one
340
size.
for one size.
And, you know, if you just, I mean, if we're realistic about it, if you had to run to the doctor, $20 or $30. Couple times a month. Okay, so 16, so- and you'd have to pay for the gas. I mean, it seems realistic.
Well,
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
I'm just thinking that in addition to, you know, giving our citizens something back in return for the in. But it's also helping clean up our city for those people who can't get to the dump for those larger items. And it's helping clean up those areas.
No, I'm all for it.
Sometimes people don't have the capability if they had a couch or something, and it allows them that once a year to have someone come pick it up instead of paying someone and them dumping it on the side of the road out in the boondocks.
Okay, well, we're talking about two different things.
That
You're talking about the special day for
The
the
special
special
day.
deal, and I'm talking about the overall.
the
I
freedom
think,
day.
I think it's realistic to pay them extra money because it's costing them extra money to do it because the prices have gone up. And the people have a choice. If they don't want to do that, they can take their stuff, dump and dump.
I'd like to just add something. You know, the state government and federals are real good about adding cost to businesses without regard to the businesses. And this is part of the problem you have with it. It's like, it's real easy for them to tell them they have to do certain things to qualify, but that just takes some money away from something else. So somewhere it's something that's given, they deserve to have an increase in the cost. Have record inflation and not to mention other problems. And this employee leave thing is like an extra burden on the business actually. Anyhow, that's all I can say about it. They deserve to have.
I think that a lot of citizens are having that increase as well, like a lot of things rising up, and I think if we can help our citizens kind of do something for them, like a lot of cities are doing across the country. It's something that we can offer our city that probably no one else in the county is doing. It's just a little something extra for our citizens that shows that we're also thinking of them. Can you come up to the, if you have something, you need to come up.
was just wondering if this would be beneficial for the businesses as well as the residential.
If it's on a,
And-
if it's on a per customer or per address base. then yeah,
That would be something we probably would have to talk about and decide if we decide to do that, that would be in the negotiation.
We can work it out, it'll be good.
Okay, ready to vote?
Counselor Grossman,
I'm having difficulty hearing people if they could talk closer to the microphone, but I'll say aye to that.
Counselor Hamilton,
Aye.
Counselor Woods.
Aye.
Counselor Daigle.
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker.
Aye.
Counselor Smalley,
Aye.
Mayor Sumner,
Aye.
motion carries.
Next under reports, Kittleson update. Christie.
Mayor, Council, Chrissy Gilbert, Community Development. So following the presentation last time, we kind of had the understanding that Kittleson, who was the traffic engineer, Kittleson and Associates, they're the traffic consultant that had prepared a study. And we thought they would be presenting at this one. With them not, we have a written request from the property owners that participated in that, requesting a workshop at a future meeting. It would be, I'm guessing, an hour or so is what they're proposing. We've also, we hear the testimony from the other side of the street type of scenario that is requesting a traffic signal sooner than later. So we would look to you to direct us on.
Once again, I'd like to make sure that we introduce Chris Hunter and Gary from ODOT that are here and available to answer any of your
It's
questions.
Mike Baker, and I just get in there.
Mike Baker.
Um,
I was too impatient.
I know. So anyway, at this point, do we want to, I don't know if ODOT would like to add anything, because I lost everything I was gonna say.
Sorry. Good job, Jerry. Well, department head needs to be footloose and fancy free.
Chris Hunter, the area manager with Oregon Department of Transportation. I actually don't know that I have a whole lot to say. From our standpoint, I think either one roundabout signal we can make function, make operate. One, like discussed at the last meeting, is more viable sooner. The other one, definitely, it's gonna cost a lot more, it's gonna take more time in order to get that. Find the funding, get it designed. I can't even give you a time frame on when that would actually happen, so. It's not all I can offer. Whether or not you want to wait for a presentation from Kittleson is completely up to the council.
Well, I'm a little confused because when we talked, you've said that a roundabout hasn't yet even been approved for this intersection. And in order for it to even get on the STIP, it would need to be reviewed by your state engineer. And then after review with the state engineer, it would then need to be submitted to be on the STIP. And once it's on the STIP, then there's a further wait period in getting on federal highway schedule.
There's a huge process with
Yeah.
that. Currently, we've done a study that said the signal is at this time probably the proper signal or intersection control device. And we have an approval for the installation of the signal. I do think we could continue to look at it, study it. A roundabout will function here. But as you mentioned, in order to get that funded, I mean, even a signal to get funded, if we're gonna deliver and install a signal, it's gonna take a while. We don't have the money currently. And so if we're gonna do it, we have to amend our STIP, we have to find the money.
And that takes a process, but we do already have the approval for a signal installation. For the roundabout, we kind of gotta go step back, go through that study again, get state traffic engineer approval. But the next step, before we can even put it into our improvement plan, is we have to find the money. And currently, we're working on our 2731 step, and there's no money there. There are grants out there, but unfortunately, like mentioned last time as well, with the, I guess, lack of severity of accidents and problems operationally, we don't have significant issues. We have more significant issues other places. So to get funding for this or to get this project to compete well statewide or nationally for some of these grants is going to be a huge reach, and I don't know that it will qualify. And so either it's got to be developer driven for funding, city can pony up money. ODOT might have a little bit, but again, we have so many other priorities. This isn't going to be one of our priorities. So let me get one more question from you. We have the money, we've come up with the money to pay for the signal, so we can do that. If we could have the money for a roundabout, give us a ballpark on what it would be today, so we can net present value 20 years from now when we could probably put it in. So ballparking a signal without looking at the design? Not the signal, the roundabout. Okay, a roundabout, we're looking at one similar out of Melrose, Garden Valley and Melrose outside of Roseburg. We have that one currently in our STIP budgeted for $9 million.
So what if we did the signal now and then continued with looking at the putting in a roundabout in 10 years when it would get to that process? We do that.
You can always modify it. Now, I don't know that I would recommend that. I mean, because you're throwing away, you know, $2 million in signal or whatever other improvements you've done there. And I think you'll find it'll operate just fine. There were some comments about pedestrian safety or other things. One thing a signal does provide is pedestrian crossings that are signalized. They are protected for portions of that. Where a roundabout, and you have in essence a crosswalk at each one of the legs that you're crossing. So it does provide some, you know, some pros and cons actually to each one. Roundabouts are safer. Overall for the traveling public, you're not having to stop. You know, so you have to slow down in order to get into roundabout. And so from a safety aspect, you know, there's trade-offs for either one. Signal operation at this location would work fine for a long time. Yeah, but it's not 10 years, it's more 20 to 30. Oh, yeah, easily.
Well, that's what I was thinking, in 20 to 30.
20 to 30 is different than we, I mean, who knows what technology. I mean, you can always change. I mean, like I said, I don't know that I would advise it, but you can always modify it, but at least get through the signal life.
Why are we even talking about roundabout? I don't know anybody that wants one. And obviously, the traffic light makes the most sense because we can do it. And it's gonna solve the people problem out there where they have to come off of that area on Dakota Street. Yeah. So why are we wasting time on a roundabout? We're not gonna do it anyhow. If we did, it'd be 20 or 30 years from now. And the price of car would double by then. I don't like him anyhow. Both words, no matter what. So there you go.
How do you really feel?
I just think it's premature to even talk about the roundabout that far out. And the money behind.
Yeah, I can't give you a time frame on a roundabout, because again, there's no funding. There's no mechanism to even start that process.
So what are we looking at for the light? How long will that take?
If the city wants to move forward with the light and willing to fund it, in essence, it's a matter of entering into an agreement and letting the city do it. We would have to, you know, in the agreement, we've still got to review it. It's got to meet ODOT standards. We facilitate different portions of it as far as inspection and turn on and other things. The conversations that we've had is we would install a signal that meets the configuration of the build out of the IAM, so put the poles back to accommodate potential 5-lane section in the future. So it's not a throwaway system. And then as things develop, you let it develop.
What does the installation of a
We've estimated between 150 or 1.5 and $2 million. Again, it isn't designed.
Fair.
Joe, do you have a question?
Yes, two things. One is we don't even know how the roundabout would be affected by a study with the wetlands on the north and south side of Central. The other question I have is, are we concerned with traffic that is coming to the stop sign at Dakota? Or are we concerned, what is our actual real concern for the traffic signal?
Well, I think a lot of people are concerned about getting out from Dakota onto the highway.
Especially once those carpets go.
Yeah, I was kind of envisioning, because I live over this area, as to whether there might be another location for the signal where we are not wasting that money in the future if we decide to do a roundabout, putting the traffic signal further west, and then that would allow a break in traffic at Dakota. And with that, I'll rest my case.
I don't know if that's true. Would. You're looking at me, right?
Well, I'm looking at you to answer.
I mean, like, Neptune.
From some of the conversation around the signal and why this location, one is the traffic, the volumes of, and potential expansion around that Dakota Street intersection, as it is expanding, there is a lot of traffic there. For years, we didn't even meet the warrants to get an approval to install a signal at this location. We're now to that point where things have changed enough through the growth and other things. The other idea of why this location is also for those properties that was on the south side of the highway is to provide an outlet for the development of those properties to come to a signal and provide a connection at this location to provide an outlet of future development on the south side of the highway. That's not currently in place, but that was the other reason for this location, is we would bring that all into one signal, one intersection that seemed to make sense where we currently have traffic volumes that meet the warrants and potential future issues right here. And by augmenting it with a connection to the south, it just helps focus that one single location for ingress and egress to both those.
And I think it has the overall less of an impact to all the adjacent property owners and less of an expense for the interchange would require a significant amount of build out. So the cost is the signal plus the whole development.
Counselor Smalley has a question.
Well, Counselor Smalley?
Oh, I was just thinking that we definitely need a light or something there in the near future, but maybe we should hear out this Kittleson report for the, the big project or the overall scope of this thing before we make a decision on this. Was just my input.
Thank you.
Another question. Does ODOT bear any responsibility on the cost of installation of lights, or is that just the city?
We do, but in this particular case, again, it's not our priority, so this isn't where we've got really limited funds right.
When does it become a priority for the state?
When we really start having more of an operational issue on our highway, currently we're not having that operational issue on our highway.
When more people die.
Safety or operational.
One question that's a little off this intersection, but do you think this will affect the speed going a little further west towards Dovetail? Because a lot of people are are also, I get a lot of input from people stating that it's hard to get out on Dovetail as well because speed limit is really fast. Once you go a little further right by Dovetail, I think it's up to 50 or 55. And there's a lot of residents coming out at that intersection as well.
Yeah, there's times when we install a new signal, we do have to do kind of a speed zone study as well, because you've got to transition down, and so
Right.
slower speeds could extend to the west a little bit further. But then one thing that we do is after we make a modification like this to the highway, we make sure we do follow up with another speed zone study to see what's actually happening out there and if speeds need to change. So it's possible that there would be some change to the west, to slow speeds down as you come into this, because one thing we don't want is a high-speed signal. Those aren't good to have either. And so you want to start slowing traffic down before you get to the signal so they can make appropriate stops and have that sight distance.
How many deaths does it take before something takes
I
place?
will not answer that question. One is too many. You know, accidents, crashes, severe injury, other things, those all go into account when you calculate kind of whether or not we meet warrants.
Because there's already been one that I'm aware
It's
of.
double fatal at that there.
But it can't be operational error.
Yeah, the problem is it might be driver error, it might be other things. It's not an operational error of the highway. And so that's why it's hard to say. I mean, accidents have to be investigated and verified what the issue and the cause was. And it can be factored into, you know, the overall warrant analysis.
All right, any other questions?
Mike, anything to add?
Are we making a decision on that now? It doesn't say.
We'd like some direction.
I do have a question. Does the city have the money already for this project?
Yes, Tammy said that if you're here, she would be doing it.
Do we need a motion in order to direct the city?
Well, it doesn't have that we need a motion, but we need to give the city direction on which way to go, whether or not we all would like to have a workshop to look further into the roundabout or to move right through to the signal now.
There's nothing to say you can't do both.
Or do both.
We can move forward on a light, knowing that we're gonna do a light, but at some point in the future, we want to do a roundabout and get a presentation and make a decision on how we work with them to move forward on that. We've had a good working partnership with them all along, and I don't see why we can't continue that. But again, I guess based on everything we know, a light isn't gonna harm our ability to continue to impact those other things up to and including a roundabout about 20 years from now.
Right. Okay, well then, I would like to make. I'm sorry,
We don't need a motion, just what would your direction?
exactly what it says, direct staff to move forward with necessary initial action necessary for the financing, engineering, construction of the new signal, traffic signal as discussed. And then we can further authorize the staff to continue working with the development group to discuss the long-term goals, including around.
And I might add, I'm sorry, still could have a workshop. It might be a good idea if you wanted to, or even at a council meeting or something, to have Kettleton make their presentation. So that could build a foundation going forward with the group.
I don't have a problem with that, other than we need to have traffic control now.
Right.
That means we need to get on to that. We're
Right.
talking about a roundabout that's gonna be 20 years from now or 30 years from now.
Right.
You know, I don't see the sense to put a whole lot of time in.
So do you want to workshop?
No.
You want to workshop?
No, figure out the light, get it over with.
You want to workshop?
I think that we should. Yeah, I think that we should.
Yeah, I think we should hear more about it before we make a decision. That's my opinion.
Counselor Grossman, do you want a workshop?
Yeah, let's have a workshop and see all of our alternatives and what the impact will be.
Before or after we make the decision to move forward with the light?
Well, I think we need to do something soon with the traffic that is building up on the west side. So I would say after.
After what? I don't understand.
After we make the decision on the light itself.
Okay.
I would like to see the light move ahead, get that in progress, and we can have a workshop. I just don't feel like we're looking 20 years out, but we can have a workshop and listen.
If I didn't make myself clear, it shouldn't.
So I think let's move forward with the light and then we can plan our workshop, whether it's during city council or
Special daytime meeting.
yes, on a Monday or a Friday.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
On to city manager report.
Well, I was gonna talk about the Housing and Homeless Task Force.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we have a workshop.
Oh, that's right. I skipped that one. Sorry.
no, it's okay. I just want to get into it. We wanted to keep this so open that we really didn't do anything
Wait, keep it quiet in the audience.
even, specific. But we have a number of possible development opportunities that include workforce housing, in which we work with the governor's task force at actually building a workforce housing neighborhood, as well as kind of an affordable housing element built into it. The workforce housing component is basically, if you talk to Terry Prestiani from the schools, and he wants to bring a metal shop teacher here, he interviews them, but they won't come to work here because they can't afford a home. And so Ben just started this. They did the test case in Ben and it worked out. Not only when you use Sutherland as a small community as an example of how you can build. So what we thought is why don't we create a group similar to the Fire Services Working Group, if you remember that, that could give, that we could brainstorm during the day or, an early evening meeting with this group and talk about not only that project, but other ideas we could have at creating the ability to have affordable housing for workforce. I'm not talking specifically low-income housing for low-income sake. I'm talking about Murphy Plywood wants to hire a production line person, and again, they want to come here. If there was a housing development that Murphy Plywood could point a new employee to that could afford that home, whether it be in the rent or a purchase, it would do two things. It would bolster the economic development of the community and satisfy this need of affordable housing. So our thought was as staff to bring this not only talk about that, but come all the way down and talk about the homeless transitioning from where they are to an actual home, what that might look like and where it might fit. So the intent is to ask you, do you think something like the Fire Services Working Group would be a good vehicle for doing that?
Yeah.
And so, do you like that concept of this totality of a neighborhood, so to speak, that address the meat of what the real issue is, and that people can't afford to live in a home anymore?
Workforce housing, I think I really like that.
Yeah, we learned that through Morgan City. That's where we got the idea. And so iSector, a company, a task force created by the governor's office with Greg Wolf And so we've actually been formulating a special organized meeting that Councilor Woods and the mayor have been part of since the League of Oregon Cities. I'll give this out to you. But it will give you an idea of the magnitude of the people that have agreed and really want to be part of this. We're talking about Ford Family Foundation, Orento, Murphy Plywood, the school district, Evergreen Medical, Lone Rock Timber, and all the federal and state agencies who do that also want to come to the table and brainstorm how we can work together collectively to create this new, whatever it is. And I just wanted to give that to you to see. So at the end of the day, we, the staff, haven't spent a lot of time like thinking about what this might look like. We instead thought we would introduce it to you to see what you thought. We would then like reach out to the community and seek volunteers like we did with the fire services working group, bring them together and facilitate a discussion with them on what their role could be and how we could work together to do these types of things. I didn't breathe through that.
I know schools because have problems too, bringing teachers in and no place to live here. Is there anybody from that group?
Well, it would,
Terry
yes.
Frestiani.
So Madam Mayor, members of council, our plan would be then to kind of like take what I just said and put it in like a little paragraph form and invite volunteers. We did meet with one of the gentlemen who early on through the Seventh-day Adventist Church has been great. Sherman, and he wants to be on this task force just because of his involvement on the homeless side. And that's what I'm saying. It's not just homeless and it's not low income. It's the totality of workforce housing. That's our focus. And if you're homeless, that's only temporary because if you're going to come here, we're going to expect you to go to work. You know what I mean? That's why it's called workforce housing. And if you're not going to go to work, you're not going to come. So that's it.
And you had a hat down here as well. Wanted to add.
Oh, yeah, Pat, did you have anything to add to the brilliance that you just heard?
About what I'm gonna say about his brilliance. I think Pat Lynch, Livability Services, Mayor and Council, I think this is the third time we've had this brief discussion about this. I think we've got kind of widespread concurrence that this is a good idea. It's a growing problem, not just in our community, but in our county. The last number I saw was that our vacancy rate in Sutherland, for those of you that don't know, is 1.5%. There's nothing vacant. There are people that are moving here hoping to find someplace to move into, and there's nothing. So we're behind the 8 ball on this as it is, and we're with the county and the state on that. So I think the quicker we can get a good, intelligent, meaningful group together to put some wheels under this, the better off we are. Other than that, I don't have anything to say. I think it's a great idea. If you have questions, I might be able to answer them for his brilliance.
I guess I just have one question. I think it's wonderful to get people together and have a meeting or several meetings to talk about things that we need. But how do we, who's going to pay for this stuff? Who's going to pay for this house?
There are a number, well, I think you've seen, we've talked about it before, that the state has declared housing an emergency.
They don't give us any money.
Well, that's a different problem that
Larry.
we are working on.
Larry, can you speak into the microphone, please?
Without a project,
Okay.
Moving forward.
what they require is an idea that has substance to fund.
they don't fund ideas. They know that probably every town in the state needs housing, but it's a competitive environment as well. And we've got some folks that are pretty good at putting competitive packages together. And but you have to have input from the community. You can't just make this up as the council or the staff. We really need the whole community to weigh in on this so that we're not missing great ideas. We've got people that have wonderful ideas that we probably haven't heard from and maybe have experience with some of these kind of things that we could put to work for us. So you have to be specific. There are specific state and federal programs. We're working on both of those, particularly for workforce housing. So it's just, there's a lot of work to do it. We're behind the 8 ball for, we're kind of growing faster than our capacity to fill these voids. We don't have the staff and the people like, larger towns do that are putting these competitive grant programs together. We just need to get going on it. And if we have to bring other people from the community in to help us, that's great, I think.
Thank you. Well, I think I like the names of all these people on the list. I think that's great. Because we're talking about people who do have money.
Right.
Yes, we are.
And to be able to get everybody together and to come up with a plan, I think that's great.
One of the things that can come out of this, and we heard at the League of Oregon Cities, there were a number of examples in towns smaller than ours. One of them is Fossil, believe it or not, where these kind of organizations and companies were funding part of a project like this so that they would have a house or 2 houses to go out and recruit people that they desperately need. Say, come work for us. I got a house for you. Well, that's a big step up. So, and I think that's the whole idea behind involving the companies and the employers, because they're hurt. They can't hire people.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. On to council comments. Remember, monthly meeting and time is limited. Please ask questions or make statements that are likely to benefit the group. Individual comments and questions that can be handled on a one-on-one basis should be handled outside the meeting. Councilor Grossman.
I have nothing at this time.
Councilor President Hamilton.
I don't think I have anything.
Councilor Woods.
I wanted to say again that there's still positions that are available to volunteer. So those who want to volunteer should get involved. Because, the city can't do everything without the people who volunteer to make it all happen. So if you want to be involved in everything that's going on, just reach out to them and she can in touch with whatever application needs to be filled out. So we can get all those positions.
If I could, you make a good point, counselor. Every counselor up here started out volunteering on a committee, and they paid their dues and they worked hard. Lisa, Mayor Sumner, not you. And Larry, all did. She worked for me, so we were a team. But I want to encourage you that John Banducci just volunteered. You're on the planning commission now, right? So we really appreciate that. So Steve Simmons, you're not doing anything. Willie, you're not doing anything. Chris, come on, you guys. We'd really like to have you part of the family.
And they don't meet real often, if that's what you're worried about. Like Parks is not always every month, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That just depends. Anyway.
I just think there's a lot of brilliance in our community, and if we can all come together and share that, I think that our community is better than what it is. So by coming together and working together, it's better.
And Sutherland's known for its volunteers.
Yeah, great. It's a big volunteer.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Yeah,
Councilor Daigle.
we're gonna talk about the whole thing after. Okay, I gotta make a comment. I've got several people talk to me about the homeless thing. And one of the biggest complaints is how dirty it is. It's like they gotta keep their own place clean, and we require it actually. And here they almost have. I think that's something that should be. Other than that, the other thing, the positive thing I have to say. On New Year's Day, I took my granddaughter and my dog, we went down to Forest Farm, went for a walk. And it was packed, there were a lot of people down there. And there was a family having a picnic there on the table, like, you know, it wasn't really that warm. But I could just see in summer how nice it be. I expect families will be having birthday parties down there, and kids playing in the park. And it'd be a great asset. I really like it.
Amen. I don't have.
Counselor Smalley.
I was just thinking about the whole garbage service thing and that the added expense that they're up against right now. And those guys are getting up at 2 and 3 and 4 a.m. in the dark, you know, doing a dirty job that none of us want to do. And I understand where Grant is at with a bunch of employees he's got to pay and the added expense. I don't think we should ask him to do a free pickup of any sort, in my opinion, just because I understand where they're at. And I think we should be real appreciative that we have those guys in town. Other than that, sorry I couldn't make it tonight, and I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Sean.
Yep.
And I don't have a whole lot. I just want to say Happy New Year to everybody. I do want to encourage you to come to Coffee with the Mayor once a month. We had our first one, we had to move it to backside because of Books Gallery, the fire. It was a really positive, great meeting this last weekend. And I really think that it's a great opportunity to sit down around the table and just have a nice conversation, talk about things that are happening in the city, and if you to share great ideas from you guys, because like Councilor Woods was saying, people have great ideas. I really like to hear them. People share them with us, because that's how things start around here and get shared. And so I encourage more people to come and have a cup of coffee with me.
When is that again?
It's on the first Saturday of the month at 10 o'clock at backside. And that's all I have. Thank you. Okay, so on to public comment. The purpose of public comment is to allow citizens to present information regarding items off the agenda. A time limit of 3 minutes per citizen shall apply. And I have one from Nancy Anderson. Oh, okay. All right, so at this point, council will take a 5-minute break before entering into executive session called under ORS.
Oh, Karen Meyer has a hand up on here.
Oh, okay. Karen, do you have something for off agenda?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on what Jerry said, that if the homeless want to be here, they need to work. If they need to show us that they can work, and maybe the first thing that they could do is clean up their place. You know, that's all that a lot of us are asking. And can the city give us a time that they expect that they are going to enforce their own regulations and get that done?
Aaron Swan here, Public Works.
We need to let her have, if she's done with, are you
Okay, I
done?
thought she was-
We don't want to take up your 3 minutes.
I'm done.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Jerry and I have been talking about the cleanup. Unfortunately, it is so wet out there right now that I can't get any machinery out there. So we're talking about as soon as we get dry weather in the spring, and I know that may not be what you want to hear, but realistically, that's the machinery show. It's not going to be a hand show. And so we just have rigs stuck and ruts and more mud than we already have. And so unfortunately, to do a real thorough cleanup, we're looking at May, probably maybe June, depending on the weather. And that's our plan.
Thank you.
But that doesn't stop the people from cleaning up for themselves. I mean, I drove by there the other day and there's stuff all over. They certainly can, but realistically, they don't seem to be able to get that done. And that's why we've implemented a plan to, when the dry weather hits, to,
You'll notice that we somehow wound up inheriting this currently right now for people to understand is Wayne Ellsworth has resigned. He's tired and worn out. And I don't blame him. He's tired of getting beat up and he wants some peace in his life. But I'm not gonna give it to him. But we are now the proud owners and operators of that park. So I spent the day with Pat. I wrote these draft new rules and regulations that have a higher level of scrutiny to them, and we're going to do that, while at the same time, we're going to continue negotiating and working out. We really like the relationship with Umpqua Heart. What happened was the monies we thought we were going to get hadn't come. And so Wayne can't keep doing this for free. And he's just going to volunteer, getting beat up on a regular basis for what he's failed to do. And, you know, he's just one person and we're working together. So we took it over. I wrote new rules using his original as a framework. And we're going to be the operator of it for the short term, but we expect to have Umpqua Heart back. We mentioned some time ago, there isn't a single public body in the state of Oregon that's overseeing and operating their homeless facilities. And I'll also tell you that as bad as you think it is, we took a tour of other homeless camps and they're significantly worse. The low barrier requirements that the Ninth Court of Appeals put on us limit us to some degree, but it doesn't mean that we can't create a box and say, whatever you have has to stay here. Everything else is going to be clear. So we're going to be working on that.
There you go, and minimum we have to do is play for, right?
That is correct. And
Why do we have more?
it's not that we have to do more. We're choosing to do more because we think it's the greater good for the community. We'd rather have people that are homeless have peace and comfort of having a place to go, giving them a time to choose a path in a different direction and help them get there. While in the meantime, they aren't sleeping out in our city streets or in the businesses' back porches. And so it's a win-win all the way around.
Part of the problem with that is we don't even know who they are, what their problem.
Well, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we know all of them. And last time I talked to Wayne, almost all are under some sort of case management. No,
Not all.
no, I know, I didn't say it. Oh,
No, there's. You want me to come up and speak?
I don't know. Are you coming up in what capacity?
I'm not gonna volunteer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I apologize for coming here, but I have to be able to clarify a couple things.
Yeah.
So when it comes to what's going on over at Hastings, Jerry was almost correct in his brilliantness trying to explain things, but we do have specific requirements for some folks that are out there to engage in programs, the ones that are choosing to better themselves, and that's why we made the choice to create the container housing, was to give them kind of like an incentive to be able to have that step up. There's a lot of things with that step up that didn't happen as planned when it comes to power, which would be able to control the heating and cooling and plug in their items and stuff. So it's the incentive isn't as much as we thought it was going to be, but we do have a good chunk of the folks that are engaging in programs, and it's about half. I haven't been out there since middle of December, I think, because I've been on vacation, hanging out with family. It's been actually kind of awesome. So I'm not trying to be, too funny about it, but it is a hard lift, and we all knew that from the beginning.
And I know that what we've been able to accomplish has been a great thing. No one else has been able to do what we've been able to accomplish. And it's all because of your guys' insight. But going forward, I just want to piggyback off of what Jerry and Pat said before. It's not just Sutherland that's going through this, but with this workforce housing, it is something that has been talked about, but it's not really a new idea. Employee housing has been happening since the beginning of time. You know, you can even go back to homeless folks getting jobs with the CCC camps, having a place to stay and then having something to work at. We're having a problem all around every service organization to find the people to fit the need. We don't have the people to do the mental health that we need for this area. We don't have the people to offer the substance use therapy. We don't have the people to run the ambulances, the fire trucks, the police cars. We don't have that kind of stuff. And to create this workforce housing, that is really like, we started this, Pat, myself, Jerry, Kurt, Aaron, we talked about it as this final goal to be able to house these folks and get them back to work. This is the last piece. We've been able to accomplish this in 2 years. Yeah, it looks like shit. I mean, crap out there. I can't get the folks to clean up, and that's part of my frustrations, and that's why I can't sleep at night a lot of times. However, we have gotten people into permanent living situations and back to work. We've been able to help many veterans get off the streets, get a place to stay and transfer out. We've been doing great things. So just because it looks like crap, we can change that. We can fix that. I can't, but we can somehow. Somebody can do it. And I know that Uncle Hart is going to be behind this no matter what. If we're not running it, we're definitely going to be at the table for consulting. And I can tell you that the team that Jerry has put together for this workforce housing is top notch. You won't find anything better in Douglas County. And they all want to work with Sutherland because they know Sutherland gets stuff done. And that's why I posted my flag here, not just because I live here, it's because Sutherland gets stuff done. And I'm proud of that. So, sorry, didn't mean to take.
Thank you.
I actually got a tear right here.
With the hair.
Right. Okay, done with that. So council will take a 5-minute break before entering into executive session called under ORS 192.6602E. Real property transactions to deliberate with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Very proud.